Coming up on the Paper Talk today, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been visiting and chatting to the staff at Manchester United Football Club. It looks like he's had positive talks, not just with all the staff, he did a bit of a Q&A, but also with the manager as well. The manager says that they've had positive talks. So we're looking at that. We'll also be looking at Jadon Sancho, just to let you know on that front as well. Jadon Sancho, it looks like he's on the verge of going to Dortmund. Maurizio Romano's tweeting about that, but there's other deals we need to look at. What is going on with Anthony Martial? What is going on with Aaron Wan-Bissaka? What is going on with Victor Lindelof? What is going on with Rafael Varane? How far away from starting from Manchester United, Alessandro Martinez and Casemiro? Let's get into it all. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it's pretty fresh. It's a bit cold, so you might want to put your parkas on. Loads of stories to get through, some of them focusing on the game last night, a couple of post-match comments, and also some transfer reports, rumours, some outgoings, potential outgoings, and potential incomings. So make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments, and if you're not doing already, hit like, share, and subscribe. Diogo Dalot, who got that goal against the mighty Wigan, spoke after the game, and he spoke about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos coming into the club, and he spoke about them bringing new energy and sort of basically lifting the mood around Carrington. And I think Andy Tate made this point yesterday. I don't think you can say, okay, there's new owners coming, that means that everyone's going to start playing better, or that you can use the excuse of the ownership for not playing well. But I do think having that little bit of stability or that little bit of knowledge as to what is going on, and seeing the fact that it appears that the likes of Dave Brailsford and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have made a positive impression, not just on the players, but on the staff as well, that could be a good move. And he spoke about that positivity as well, Diogo Dalot. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm not going to get too carried away, but it does seem like there has been a decent impact by them just from the meetings, and the fact that it seems to be a little bit more settled now after all these months, well, over a year of uncertainty ever since the Glazers issued that strategic alternatives statement. Also, on the sort of new regime front, if you can call it that, there's an article in the Independent from Miguel Delaney speaking about the fact that United are looking at 4 potential director of footballs, not all at once, but looking at which one they're going to choose. There is talk that maybe it could actually be 2 working in tandem. I think the names being bandied about are Dan Ashworth is one. There's a lad called Julian Ward who's another one. I saw an article actually in The Athletic which was saying Andrea Berta could be someone from Atletico Madrid. There's a few names that have been mentioned there. Paul Mitchell is obviously one that we keep hearing about as well. So it'll be interesting to see just what happens in terms of the director of football front. Dougie Friedman is another one. There's so many names in the hat. We'll have to wait and see. Loads of reports, rumours and conjecture going on. I think there's going to be an 8-week audit that the Ineos are doing, so you might know a little bit more after that. We'll have to wait and see what goes on, but it's no doubt, there is no doubt that the new sort of part owners are looking to bring in a sporting director or a director of football, whatever you want to call it. I think sporting director would probably be more appropriate. A new face to come in and help work with the manager, Erik ten Hag, and the coaches in terms of moving Manchester United forward, getting the right deals over the line and getting some new players in, hopefully sooner rather than later. But as always, we will keep you posted on that front. In terms of outgoings, there's a couple of stories doing the rounds. There was a story in the Manchester Evening News, I think I saw it, it's been doing the rounds elsewhere, that Facundo Palestre is wanted by LA Galaxy and PSV Eindhoven. He's got sort of 2 clubs there who are after his services. It could be a loan move on the cards this January. We'll have to keep an eye on it. He's not getting much game time, is he, Palestre? We are short of firepower in attack, but he's not had many opportunities in the first team this season. He's had a few and he's done okay. I don't think he's done anything where you can go, oh, we can't possibly let him out on loan. Also, you've got Amad Diallo, who's kind of back into the fold. I know he wasn't available yesterday, but he's been injured for pretty much all season. Now he was available. He's played again against Nottingham Forest, so maybe that might come into the manager's thinking in terms of whether he can let Facundo Palestre go. I'm not sure, but one to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if he did move on a low move. He's never really quite got going, has he, at Manchester United? And I feel like we're at a bit of a crossroads now. Is he going to be a Manchester United player, or is he going to get a low move that could lead to a permanent deal? We'll have to wait and see. Another player that's been linked with a move as well is Hannibal Mejbri. I love Hannibal Mejbri. He's a fantastic player. Bit of a live wire, a bit erratic at times. Does love a yellow card almost as much as he loves a goal, but he's a very, very good player. Now, he's been on loan in the past. Of course, he went to Birmingham City. Now, there's an article, I think, in the Liverpool Echo where they spoke to someone who watched him at Birmingham about what Hannibal would bring to Everton if he came to Everton. I spoke to an Everton channel the other day about Hannibal Mejbri, and I was waxing lyrical about him as well, saying how good a player he is, and if he works with Sean Dyche, maybe Dyche could get the best out of him. He's been linked with Sevilla. I'd rather he went to Everton because I'd like to see him go into the Premier League, show what he can do in the Premier League on a regular basis, hopefully, and that could get him back in the manager's thinking, in Erik ten Hag's thinking for next season. He has got that 1 year extension, of course, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with Animal Medjugorje. I just feel that he's sort of dropped down the pecking order. He played, didn't he, a couple of months ago, he came on against Brighton, he played that game against Burnley, and you thought, okay, maybe he's going to get some chances, but he hasn't been getting chances lately, and I wonder whether the manager looks at it and thinks, with certain players coming back, with the fact I've got Kobbie Mainoo in there, who's now become pretty much a first teamer, can I risk playing Animal Medjugorje as well? Is it a bit of a gamble? Probably not worth taking. From the manager's point of view, I'd love to see Animal Medjugorje in the team. I just think he's a great player. But we'll wait and see whether he ends up at Sevilla, whether he goes to Everton, or whether he ends up staying. On the Jadon Sancho front, the latest is there's not much to report. We're still waiting. By the time you're watching this, he might have already flown over to Dortmund or Marbella or whoever it is he's meant to be going and meeting up with him. It just seems like it's sort of stagnated a little bit. We just keep hearing any minute now, any moment now. Yeah, it could be today, but as of yet, nothing has happened. So when we hear anything, as always, we'll keep you posted. And like I say, you might be commenting right now going, Jay, he's already gone, it's already done. But that's obviously a loan move, and from what we hear, it is a loan move without a view to a permanent transfer. It doesn't look like he's going to be going back to Dortmund, permanently. Could be a low move, but we'll wait and see what happens with that. Jadon Sancho needs to go, doesn't he? He needs to go on loan somewhere because he's not playing for Manchester United. There's no sign of him playing for Manchester United anytime soon. Him and Erik ten Hag aren't speaking. So go back to Dortmund, get your career going again, and hopefully brighter things ahead for Jadon Sancho because his move to Manchester United has been, let's be honest, a bit of a disaster. Potential incomings. There's an article in the Manchester Evening News, and I think this has come via Football Transfers, that we've been linked with Lille's Jonathan David, that United are looking at him. Now, this is a player we've been linked with in the past. It feels like this is 2021 all over again. We've been linked with him for the last few years. He's not exactly set Ligue 1 alight this season. I think he's got 5 goals in 17 outings for Lille, but in the league, he did get a hat-trick against in the French Cup, but it was against an amateur side, so you can't look too much into that. Before the winter break, though, he did score a few goals, so it looks like, despite the fact he's not having a great season, his form has improved. Can I see Manchester United bringing him in January? I'd be very surprised, if I'm being honest. Erik ten Hag was speaking about potential transfers and the January transfer window, and he said very little. He said we'll have to wait and see, to be honest with you. That's what he was saying. He'll say we'll see how it progresses. So he didn't give anything away in his post-match comments, recent comments about January transfers. So I'm not looking at United bringing in anything like a Jonathan David, someone who's probably going to cost quite a bit of money. But you never know. One to keep your eye on. Who knows what could happen there? Like I said, he's not exactly been saying up. Maybe a deal could be done. Perhaps another deal that could be on the horizon. This is a little bit of a twist on what we already knew. I saw this in the Mirror, and this was basically saying that Manchester United could be looking. And the way they worded it, it was like talking about January transfers and then talking about Michael Olise. Now, from what we gathered, Michael Olise looks like he'd be more of a long-term target, someone in the summer. But they were sort of insinuating that it could be a January deal, and it could be a deal that involves Aaron Wan-Bissaka going back to Crystal Palace. Now, we know Wan-Bissaka has been linked with a move to Crystal Palace in the past, but him as part of a swap deal for Michael Olise would be a bit of a surprise, and it'd be a bigger surprise if it happened in January. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, of course, but I don't see it happening. You might do. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Let me know what you think about that one. Maybe it doesn't happen in January, maybe it does happen further down the line, but would United be willing to let Aaron Wan-Bissaka go? I'm not so sure. One thing's for certain, if he did go back as part of a swap deal, that might save a bit of face for Manchester United, because there was talk of him going back to Crystal Palace, I think about a year ago, on a cut price deal for about 20 million, so United ready to take a £30 million hit on him. I don't know if that's still the case. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a good player. I'd like to see him stay at Manchester United. I'd also like to see Olise come to Manchester United, so hopefully we can buy him rather than doing some swap deals. But who knows what's going to go on at this football club in the future. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to go and see all the post-match reaction from the likes of Andy Tate, from the likes of Stephen Howson, from the likes of myself and Joe Smith. That's up on the channel as well. We'll also have Howson versus coming up later on today. Joe Smith is going to be talking to Sky Sports' Dharmesh Seth about potential transfers, so you're going to get all the transfer lowdown from Dharmesh, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. I've been Jay Motty, outside a pretty cold Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.